Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And with the transition away from the Crate Dragon raid to this new Leia raid, and then obviously we know that the Leia raid's only going to be around for 8 to 9 months, I thought it'd be important for me to kind of get some thoughts out to you guys on how you can prepare your accounts and your mindset for these changes and what the game is going to look like going forward. So we're going to get into it here, but first and foremost, huge shout out to the channel members. Thank you guys so much for your continued support of this channel. If you guys want to join channel memberships, there's a link in the video description down below. Otherwise, guys, it is free if you hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and leave comments. It helps boost the views on this video, gets it out across the YouTube, all those different, you should watch this next. So, that really helps. Thank you guys again for your continued support. I love all you. Let's get into our video. So, when the Crate Dragon raid came around, the first thing that we really realized, the first thing that first realization was that going for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren as your first GL wasn't the best option anymore. The reason so many of us recommended Kylo as that first GL was that he scored well in every single raid that was active at that time, with the Challenge Pit raid and the Legacy raids. Now with this new Crate Dragon raid where you couldn't use First Order, we needed to kind of rethink our strategy. So all of us were like, hey, you know what? Go farm Jabba. Jabba's going to be the best thing that you can do for this raid. And, the factions for this raid, I think, were primarily newer factions or relied on newer characters to get the best scores. So it definitely was a bit rough, right? This one was a rough transition for us. So we had everybody farming Jabba, and now, come to find out, in a few months, this is going to be the obsolete raid, and everything's moving into this new raid with Galactic Legends Leia and her team and requirements. And so it's forcing us to have to transition the way we think about this game. And I think the way we need to build our investments, because when you think about just the Hutt Cartel faction as an example, unless you have Jabba, this faction's kind of meh. Chrysanthemum, Coors Light Leia, Skiff-Guard Lando, they're really designed for Jabba. They're not designed to work under other bounty hunters because there's a lot of Hutt Cartel synergy. And, a character like Embo, who can be pretty good in some other teams, inside of Jabba is formidable. So I really think that there's some aspects to this faction that unless you got Jabba, you're not getting the full benefit from. And it's unfortunate. Now, the reason I bring up the Hutt Cartel is because, everybody's farming them for this raid because everybody wanted Jabba, and now we're going to get Leia, and, her Rex seem a little bit more player-friendly in terms of they look like they're going to be really good, but, between, like, Commander Luke and, some of these other ones, but also, one of the big things that I think you're going to want to focus on with, these characters is that, when you look back at these Rex, and we're going to switch over to, the forums here, where we have the list of requirements for the raid, or the characters you can use in the raid. So obviously you got your new ones here. But then you have characters like 3PO, Chewbacca, Han Solo, Lando, Wedge, Jedi Knight Luke, Ewoks, Imperial Troopers. These characters look so much more player-friendly. And I think that if you want to successfully transition to this next stage of the game, you're going to want to focus on character. You're going to want to put your gear in characters that are going to help you down the line. That with the Hutt Cartel, that was not a faction that, unless you go and get Jabba, they're not going to start checking boxes for you like, hey, I did this. But you look at the requirements in here. I mean, see, Admiral Akbar is a requirement for Leia. 3PO, Jabba, General Skywalker, Jedi Knight Luke, Jedi Master Luke. Han Solo, Chewbacca, Jedi Master Luke's, Jedi Knight Luke here. You look like a lot of these characters are requirements for things down the road. So in my mind, what makes a lot of sense is focusing to, hey, these new characters these are the character lists that I can use for this new raid. This is the stuff that I want to be focusing on, the ones that are going to help me down the line. Chirpa, Wicket, two of those Ewoks that you can use for C-3PO, even like Nisa, right? Okay, I can use them and their Leia requirements. When you look at Veers, Stark, and Admiral Piet, Sith Eternal requirements, and Piet also being a requirement for the Executor. Iden Versio, compare Moff Gideon to Iden Versio. Moff Gideon, we're getting a new Gideon unit. We don't know how good that's going to be and whether he fits in with that or not. But Iden, fantastic pilot, also a really good, character in her own right with her team. So my head is going to that this transition needs to be from one size fits all of, hey, go get Kylo, to work on some of these characters that will give you options, the ability, options, or give you the ability to pivot down the road. So if we would go back into the game for a second, right? Let's go back to the game. With this raid going away in 8 to 9 months, most players will not have Leia in 8 to 9 months if they were to start her, because of just, the sheer relic requirements. Unless you're like unless you're done with everything and you're ready for it, that's probably not happening. So instead, you're going to want to focus on characters that once that raid goes away, there's still benefit to them. And I think that was a huge difference from that comparative to, say, with this with this crate raid, like Jawas. If you were investing in your Jawas to maybe like gear 12 to get some extra score in the crate raid, that really wasn't that much of an impact, because gear 12 Jawas don't really help that much in a lot of things. Comparative to, say, with this new one coming where there's Imperial Troopers and, Veers, Stark, Piet all being Sith Eternal requirements, Scout Trooper being a Leia rec, but even ones like Death Trooper and Gideon, who have that Imperial Remnant tag, Stormtrooper and Imperial Remnant tag, I don't think Magma Trooper, he doesn't have the Imperial Remnant tag, he's not lucky enough, but those ones with that Imperial Remnant tag, we've got a new Gideon coming, maybe investing in them is a good option. That you're going to want to focus on investing in the characters that give you benefits outside. And I think that's the one big lesson we learned from the crate raid that going forward you're going to need to look at. What characters can you get use out of beyond the raid? Because once that raid goes away, we don't know that it's ever coming back. So do you really want to build something just because it's good in the raid? And if you're a whale, right? Maybe Tebow is the greatest Ewok in this new raid, and that Tebow is just going to wreck the raid. If you're somebody who's in that position, you're like, yeah, you know what? I can take Tebow to Relic 8, Relic 7, I don't care. But maybe you're, if you're free to play, you're going to look at Chirpa, Wicket, and Nisa and think, not only can I use these characters in the raid, get a decent score, but I've also just got requirements for Leia. I think that's the new mindset going forward. Look at how it's going to impact you down the line. That in a year's time, after this raid is gone, did they still provide some value to your roster? And if that answer is yes, then that's the characters I would invest in. So as we draw closer, and I think especially once we see how the scores in this raid work out with the characters, I'll make sure to kind of give you guys the ones that I'm using the most, because I don't want to lead you astray and tell you that you should go and farm up these characters because they're going to score awesome in the raid. I think you're going to want to look for the ones that are going to give you the most bang for your buck, not just in the raid, but outside of it, because otherwise you're going to end up with characters that are just going to sit in your roster and not do anything for you, and that's unfortunate, because you really want, as especially free to play, you can't be investing in things for a singular game mode for a short period of time. It's one of the big reasons why I think Datacrons are this hated by the community, is how many people want to take a character to a certain relic level for a small benefit in a short period of time. I don't think most players can stomach that. So, guys, that's the video. Let me know what your thoughts are. Like and subscribe, comment. I love all you. May the force be with you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.